This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
DC4U. 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 DC4U.
Well, it's been a ring-slinging good time so far, Todd. How are you today?
In brightest day, in blackest night, something, I'm feeling all right. How about you?
Man, I'm doing pretty great because, of course, as folks know from last week, it's Green Lantern month here in our final month for this season on DC4U. And there was only really one way to approach this after last week. It was we had to go and talk about the Four Corpsmen. That's right, Hal Jordan, Gardner, John Stewart, and Kyle Rayner. The big four Green Lanterns from Earth of Sector 2814, and in this show we decided to do it a little bit differently. Normally we only read like one comic, like one classic, and talk about it, but this time we're going to talk about four and four and a little more actually, at least for one of these guys, because it was time to examine this and maybe settle the debate, because there's a lot of talk out there. If you're on Green Lantern Twitter, which that is a thing, by the way, surprise, there's a lot of debate about who is the greatest Green Lantern, and I felt like that was a discussion we could have because, Todd, you're a big Green Lantern fan as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you like DC, you probably like Green Lantern at least at some point in the character's long historic run.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how this works. Is at some point or another, you're going to run into a Green Lantern story or something that features Green Lantern very heavily that you're just going to fall in love with. That happened with me. I'm sure it's happened with you. With you and with any number of our friends out there. But to just get into it, I think we've got a series of things that we're going to go through that's going to help to define the greatest Green Lantern of them all. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll have that settled. So before we get too deep into it, of course, we'll go over the issues that we're going to be talking about. The first is Showcase number 22 from October of 1959, which was the debut of Hal Jordan, the Silver Age Green Lantern. We will also be talking about Green Lantern Volume 2, number 59 from March of 1968, which was the debut of Gardner. We'll be talking about Green Lantern number 87 from December of 1971, which was the debut of John Stewart. And the one that's going to be a little bit weirder, I guess, is going to be where we talk about Green Lantern 48 through 51, which introduces Kyle Rayner first just as himself, and then ultimately his debut as a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Todd, of these characters, of all of those issues we just listed off, who had the better debut?
Well, I'm gonna kind of go with maybe an unexpected choice, because we talk about Hal Jordan being the greatest of all the Green Lanterns and having been restored to his former glory and into a much more interesting character years, because first few decades of his existence he was somewhat boring. But as far as debuts go, issues and their execution, I'm probably going to say the John Stewart debut in Green Lantern number 87. And I'll tell you why.
Please.
First off, the creative team is Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, and you can't go wrong with those two guys. They wrote and drew the hard traveling heroes, kind of the greatest era of Green Lantern, and you have conscious story and tremendous art, and something that was a little bit different in the day, giving an African-American character a high-profile backup gig. We had the Falcon over in Marvel. We had Black Panther, black superhero, but we have here a legacy character and elevating a brand new guy, John Stewart, to replace the suddenly infirmed Guy Gardner as Hal Jordan's backup in case he has to do Guardian business or something happens where he's not able to fulfill his space cop duties. And so I think just as far as an interesting story, although very, very much of its time, this one was the most compelling to me out of the four.
Well, it's a great story. It's one that I definitely, I remember reading it way back in the day, and then I just read it here recently for this show. And it certainly ages in a certain way. There are aspects of it that I found a bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, it really was a boundary pushing issue for its time. Because this was, what did we say it was? It was 1971. So even then, it was rare to see an African American portrayed as a hero. So this was a big deal, and that's what kind of put it on my radar. I was almost there with it to put it as my favorite of the debuts. But honestly, I actually really, really liked Hal Jordan's debut in Showcase 22. And it also has some things in it that are not great, that don't age well, particularly how he conducts himself around Carol Ferris. But one of the things I liked about it, Todd, was that he was very good with Abin Sur whenever he first encounters him. He didn't approach Abin with any kind of fear or malice. He was just like, this is a strange being from another planet who does not look like me at all, and I need to help this person. He wasn't worried about anything that Abin was trying to give him. He was like, what do we do for you? How do I help you? And to me, that's kind of a microcosm of what makes Hal Jordan such a good character, is that even though he is a fly by the seat of his pants kind of guy, he says and does some pretty stupid things as things go along. He still manages to be that selfless hero whenever it counts. He's very good at that, and I absolutely loved him for it. So Showcase 22 was a nice bit of Silver Age goodness, and I appreciated that it gave us 3 different Hal Jordan stories within one book. So
yes, I like that too.
Yeah, for me that really worked, and I think that was what probably hit with so many readers at the time. What made him so beloved as a character is that he was so different from the kind of Green Lantern they had before. Although it does weird me out a little bit to see him phasing through walls. That was something I didn't expect, but he does this ghost-like thing coming through a wall every once in a while, and it's like, Hal, maybe Hal Jordan shouldn't be given the ability to do that, given his giving some of his predilections. That's especially we have a new nickname for him. He is Handsy Hal Jordan. Good God, is he?
Around Carol Ferris. Me Too. Me Too movement, Carol Ferris.
He is in his private moments, in his quieter moments, he's having like this kind of introspective thing of, wow, I really have these deep feelings for Carol. But then whenever he's with her, it's like, whoa, buddy. Apparently, Mad Men was really a real thing that was happening in the culture. That's maybe keep your hands a little more to yourself there, Hal. It's getting a little uncomfortable in here. So as far as that goes. Who's of these? Which ones of the origins or first appearances do you think didn't age as well?
Well, I'm going with the same answer, although maybe an honorable mention goes to Green Lantern 51, at least the first full Kyle Rayner story where he's in charge, and it's super duper 90s time. It's like crazy 90s Melrose Place time, but some of the stuff and the attitude of angry black man John Stewart maybe wouldn't translate as well were the exact same issue to come out today.
Yeah, that's
and Hal Jordan equivocating Whitey with the N-word is not a good look as well.
No, it's really not. The certain phrases definitely didn't work for me. I was like, oh boy, they're actually putting this in print. And I mean, at least the antagonist was the one who was saying it at times, but still,
right.
And just the way that some of John's dialogue was written, that also felt a little cringy at times. But it was Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams writing dialogue for an African American man, and neither of them are African American. So,
right. And Denny O'Neil is as 70s woke as you're going to find.
That's true.
But even then, I think in a modern context, it should have been handled a little bit differently, perhaps.
Yeah. To their credit, they did push things forward pretty hard here, because this was also, I believe, a precursor to ultimately their Green Lantern, Green Arrow team up run.
Well, let's see. I'll take a look there, but keep expounding on this issue, and I'll look at the context of it.
Sure, I think that was probably what was going on, because half of the issue is dedicated to John Stewart's origin, and then the second half is a Green Arrow story. Both, of course, done by the same creative team, and one of the things that was a touchstone of that era of Green Lantern was that GL was portrayed as more of a white bread, more of a middle, center right-leaning type of hero, and Green Arrow was very much a left-wing liberal kind of hero. And then, of course, the ultimate fun of it is you put these two together on a road trip and have them actually working together. So, but before, I believe it's before all that is when you get the debut of John Stewart, and you get all of this new ideas being presented in the book by Denny O'Neil, and by Neil Adams, and it's basically just kind of setting the table for what the direction of the book will be from this point going forward, at least for a very, very long time. And it was I believe it was a pretty popular run. It's certainly considered a major classic today. And unfortunately, John Stewart wouldn't become a more of a fixture of GL Comics for a little while longer. He would eventually become the main fixture of the book, but it would be a little while, and I think we would be getting some Guy Gardner time before that.
Yeah, we should talk about Guy's origin, Guy's.
I agree. We haven't really talked about Guy Gardner all that much at all, because his origin is very different from the Guy Gardner that most people will know and love today. The version of Guy Gardner that debuted in Green Lantern 59 in 1968 was created by John Broome and Gil Kane, who also created Hal Jordan. But he was pretty much the same character as Hal Jordan, except he wasn't, as much of a misogynist, because there was no love interest at the time for him. He was a school teacher, like a gym teacher, who was, very much a milquetoast, kind of boring character. And really, it was his origin that did the least for me in all of these, because his origin is this kind of what if story of what happens if Hal Jordan doesn't become Green Lantern, and you get this whole hypothetical story that the Guardians tell Hal about how there were two potential people who could have taken up the cause of or taken up the ring of Green Lantern. Guy Gardner was the other one, and Hal was like, "Oh well, I wonder what it would have been like if he had been Green Lantern instead of me." So we go through this whole thing of here's this hypothetical story that ultimately winds up with Guy getting killed.
So comparatively, the Guy Gardner's introduction / origin issue, which is really not, it's kind of a fake out, because we see what would have happened. We have the conceit of the Guardians creating this machine that, what's that? You okay?
Yeah, it's basically DC's version of What If before What If was a thing.
And so they play out, well, what would have happened had Abin Sur given the ring to Guy Gardner as opposed to Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan was closer in California when Abin Sur crashed out in the desert. So I think, did they say New Mexico or Arizona where he crashed? I don't think it totally matters, but he was geographically closer to it. So
yeah, it was in the deserts near Coast City. So that's why Hal Jordan winds up getting the call instead of a guy who was in I think Baltimore or something.
Okay.
And it's funny because it's okay, here's the what if that would have happened with Guy Gardner, and it's basically, well, things would have played out just about the same.
Yeah, with some ridiculous kid characters and this whole storyline to justify why Hal Jordan was just going to get the ring anyway.
Yeah, it was so we all wind up at the same conclusion. It feels like there wasn't a lot of thought really put into Guy Gardner's initial creation.
No, and these done-in-one Silver Age stories, they're a lot of times are done for a shock cover. If you go to Superman's Jimmy Olsen, you'll see lots of those, and then they'll walk it back at the end. And they even tease you here at the end because Hal goes and meets Guy, and they become friends, but he doesn't drop the ring on him. He doesn't say, "Hey, it's you." He just kind of all right, cool. Guy Gardner is a person. And they leave it at that. But apparently, later in the run, he does officially become the backup.
Yeah, they did actually establish him as that, and then there was a story. Of course, we see the story in John Stewart's origin when Guy actually gets hurt because he gets hit by a bus, a school bus that he, I guess, was trying to block from hitting some kids or whatever, because that's just something Guy was going to do. It's comics, folks. It's ridiculous. But that's whenever they established that John Stewart would then be the next chosen one to back up Hal Jordan in case he were ever incapacitated or quits.
And John Stewart, when I started reading comics for reals, besides say Justice League of America 200 and some random garage sale comics I had with Green Lantern and Green Arrow and earlier appearances of Green Lantern, because he didn't always have his own monthly book. He was in bi-monthly, or it was on hiatus here and there. When I started reading seriously, Crisis was the thing, 85, and John Stewart was the Green Lantern in Crisis.
Yeah.
So I guess I followed him a little bit more closely at that point. Just, okay, Green Lantern is John Stewart now. Good to know.
And really, my first experience with Green Lantern, as I said last week with Greg, was that John Stewart was the GL they used in the Justice League animated series. So whenever I first really became aware of Green Lantern, he was the one that I knew by name. So when Green Lantern Rebirth came around, and even when the live action movie was happening, I still felt like John Stewart's star was still kind of shining a little bit brighter than Hal Jordan's. So it was, like maybe that was a missed opportunity. But here, I think it's pretty clear that the initial take on Guy was not that great, and at least the initial take on John Stewart is incredibly memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very notable. I'd say they course corrected, or they developed her into more of a confident leader instead of a guy who's angry all the time and is playing off Hal Jordan. So he definitely becomes a worthy member of the Corps later, and even in his origin, you see how he's not just taking things at face value, he's actually seeing the plan behind the plan that Hal Jordan missed. So he definitely proves he's worthy of the ring there. But as far as characterizations go, I think I love the way he was on Jail, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. Definitely a I keep saying worthy, but definitely a well-developed, multifaceted character that represented the Green Lantern mythos very well.
I would very much agree. I think that the way John has been developed over the years is maybe the greatest development of any of the Lanterns so far. Because he's so, as you said, he's multifaceted. He's a very deep character that we don't really see that level of depth with characters like Hal Jordan or Guy Gardner, or even really Kyle Rayner.
Oh no!
So John, I think, is the one who has the most layers to go through of any of them. Now, that brings us to the next question. I think we answered whose story doesn't really age all that well. So, which writer-artist duo out of the four Corpsmen here really worked best for you?
Yeah, for me, it's Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. I mean, the classic Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Hard Traveling Heroes team. You can't go wrong. Some of the most important comics, and truly the beginning of the Bronze Age, was that teaming of creators on that title. So the Gil Kane, John Broome stories are fine. They're adequate, especially for their time. And the Ron Mars, Daryl Banks combination, it was pretty much very 90s. And art-wise, I really liked Daryl Banks back in the day. It was very, I won't say state-of-the-art, but it was very contemporary for DC standards. I really liked his anatomy and his storytelling. But crab face, man. Crab face costume. What you gonna do?
Yeah, some of his designs really didn't work for me.
Just super 90s, man.
Yeah, it really was. How about that 9 Inch Nails t-shirt that Kyle Rayner's wearing?
Yes. Yeah, well, do we want to show him as a sensitive artist or a brooding kind of character?
Reading him, I was like, he just seems like a shiftless layabout, very aptly described by Sinestro at a later date, an alley rat. He didn't really strike me as a 9 Inch Nails fan, is all I'm saying. But maybe,
I would say no. He was probably a Gin Blossoms guy. I would say.
You know what? Yeah, definitely. He was definitely rocking that.
Spin Doctors.
Oh, for sure. He loved him some Two Princes.
Yeah,
that came out wrong.
Well,
I'm sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle Rayner. It took a while to get used to him, but let's not pretend that Hal was going great guns back then. The quote unquote redacted era of Gerard Jones, Pat Broderick art. They're not available in digital for Gerard Jones reasons, but the stories were just okay. And I read them here and there. I also like the Emerald. What are the origins? I forget what they're called. Emerald Dawn 1 and 2.
Those are not bad.
And those endure a little bit. Give you some depth on Hal.
It sucks really for everybody else who was involved with those stories. Keith Giffen was actually a co-writer or a scripter on a lot of Gerard Jones's stuff, and it's unfortunate that Jones is still attached to that. It would be great if they could somehow finagle a new deal and have only Keith Giffen credited on those books, but probably won't ever happen because honestly, I liked some of those stories, mostly Emerald Dawn 1 and 2. I thought those were good. The stuff that comes after is, you're right, it's pretty forgettable. It doesn't.
It's kind of non-essential, yeah. They did some interesting things with John Stewart and the Mosaic World. I don't know if you remember that at all.
Yeah, briefly.
That's some good stuff.
That part would be great to have. The Hal stuff is just kind of okay. Not really essential. Unfortunately, as I was reading Kyle Rayner's origin, I went back and I read Emerald Twilight, which of course is the fall of Hal Jordan to becoming Parallax. And man, it's so frustrating because there's a lot of that story that I actually really liked. Some really deep and heartbreaking stuff that goes on. And then this wild character swing for Hal to just go full evil by the end of it, and it's really frustrating because you're like, man, Ron was writing a really good story here, and he gets the voice of Hal pretty well, and everyone else in the supporting cast that he handles, but it just falls apart. I would rather
the main event. The main event is not really well thought out, and this is an editorial mandate. We've got to put a new, younger, relatable character in the Green Lantern suit. So, and I believe Bill Willingham, who wrote Fables and some great indie comics back in the day, the Elementals, did 49. I think he wrote and drew it, or maybe he just drew it. I may be thinking he just drew it, but it was very sad to see because it was in no way. I did not feel the loss of Coast City like Hal goes through. He has some time with Ollie to process it, and then he just kind of flips a switch and, I had to suffer, so everybody else is going to suffer. Nobody else is going to ever have to deal with these things, but I'm going to kill the core to go through it. I've got all these power rings. Just sad. But Jeff Johns went and fixed it in Green Lantern Rebirth, so it's fine. It's just kind of a footnote now.
Yeah, pretty much, and it sucks for Kyle to be saddled with that too, because he really does kind of become a good character later on.
Judd Winnick specifically did the best work on Kyle, in my opinion.
But there's some Ron Mars Kyle stuff that is actually pretty decent. I would recommend people go check that out. Just skip the Emerald Twilight part because it'll give you a bad taste for Kyle if that's your introduction. But with that said, I think we got to get down to the real meat of all this. So, in your opinion, Todd, of these four guys, which of them do you see as the genuine, true leader of the Green Lantern Corps? Which of them would you entrust with it?
Well, I love me some Guy Gardner. Sure. One of my favorite characters to read, especially in the classic Justice League / Justice League International era. That being said, he's no leader. But if we were talking about having the four guys with rings all active at the same time, I would say if Hal would defer to John, I think John's mind works better as a leader. So I'm going to say John Stewart is the one guy I would point to as my leader of the Four Corpsmen at that point.
That's
because it's military for part of it too. Yeah.
Yes, that's my painting.
Yay!
John is the most effectual leader amongst them. Hal is a great soldier. He is, a pilot anyway. That's his role. He plays it very well. He serves the cause. He's a team player. But my God, Hal Jordan is not a leader. And I think Robert Venditti actually illustrated that very well at the beginning of his Green Lantern run, as he took over for the departing Jeff Johns, and suddenly Hal Jordan finds himself leading the Green Lantern Corps and basically leads it right off a cliff because he's not good at this. John Stewart, on the other hand, is just a natural leader, and the Peter Tomasi run on Green Lantern Corps really showed why John is the ideal choice. So John Stewart, easy pick for me as well on who should be the leader of the Corps. Now we get to the fun part. We get to rank these guys. We're going to put them in order of 4 to 1. And maybe we'll do something a little fun here. If you could correlate each of the Lantern members to a member of the old WCW Four Horsemen.
Oh my goodness!
Who would they be?
Wow.
Yeah, that could be tough.
Okay.
But
all right.
But first, let's rank them out from 4 to 1. Who do you got?
All right. So counting backwards, I'll go. Kyle Rayner is number 4.
Yep.
Sadly, Guy Gardner is number 3, John Stewart number 2, and Hal Jordan number 1. Even though Hal's not the greatest leader, doesn't make him not necessarily the greatest hero or the greatest Green Lantern. He has that rebellious streak in him, and sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But the Green Lanterns are they have conquered their fear, and no one is more fearless and brave than Hal Jordan in this group of 4.
I think that is a very fair ranking. I'll go, of course, Kyle Rayner at 4. I'm going to put Guy Gardner at 3, John Stewart at 2, and Hal Jordan at number 1.
That's my painting.
Yes, and I love Guy. I think Guy is absolutely great. One of my favorite characters to read nowadays, because most people, use the modern iteration of him. That old original version is long gone and forgotten. Everyone from Peter Tomasi, Patrick Gleason, Jeff Johns, now Robert Venditti, and we can't forget, and even Van Jensen back in the day whenever he was on Green Lantern Corps. They've all written Guy Gardner in this way, and it has worked wonderfully.
But Bullcut's got to endure, though. You can't separate that from Guy. Good work with the Green Lantern Corps back in the day too. Steve Englehart writing. I think that character, I always want him around, but I don't know that I would say he's the best fit for every Justice League or every particular story.
Sure, and that I think all of that has worked out pretty well. I like the bowl cut era of Guy Gardner, though. I do kind of like the current haircut that they've given him. Like it's a little short on the side, and it's just a little up in the front, but not like too much. We haven't gone full faux hawk. That's not a thing. So
no. He shouldn't have it. And then that character's history. He got to be the wielder of Sinestro's ring for a while and wear a jacket, and then he was revealed to be a Vuldarian, but we're not going to talk about that because it never happened, bro.
Nope, that's not a thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Guy Gardner, Warrior, don't worry, it's in your quarter bin right now.
Yeah, that's all part of the 0 hour, but you're going to be able to get that in a big omnibus collection soon. I'm going to do it, but that's just because I'm a completionist and I'm easily separated from my money. Great
talking the Four Corpsmen, and I forgot to correlate them. Well,
yeah, we gotta say, are we gonna do like maybe the original Horsemen?
I think for our purposes, with say the 3 old timers and then the newcomer, I would say Sting would be our 4th Horseman.
Okay, so you're going to correlate Kyle Rayner with Sting?
I am just, young and cool and neon and fresh blood. But when you look at the big picture, when he had the big gold belt, they lost a lot of money.
That is unfortunate, and it's unfortunately true. I guess I can get on board with that. Now, who would be our? I think we got to go to the one of the big guns, though. Who amongst this group is Arn Anderson? Because I'm thinking it's Guy.
It's either Guy, because you think the Enforcer.
Yeah.
But I thought about John, because John's kind of like a
he's more
take
stoic.
take no crap, supporting guy who maybe, or supporting hero who maybe sees the big picture a little bit more. So I'm going to say John is my Arn, and that would leave two other people. But those were my thoughts. I thought Sting as Kyle Rayner and Jon Stewart as Arn Anderson, which leaves. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that leaves. Man, this is tough, actually. But I mean, because I look at the way Guy Gardner is, and just his like the flamboyance of him sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to make him Rick.
Well, let's look at that first Hal Jordan appearance and his hands all over Carol Ferris.
That is a fine point.
He was chasing it all the time. And
not just her, but many others. Hal Jordan got around. So
Alicia, yeah.
We don't. We don't.
So
speak
yeah,
of
definitely
such
Ric
things.
Flair after we talk about that.
Whoops. Oh God. I wonder if there are any JR stories from the back of the limo.
You won't hear them on Grillin' JR, but you will imagine them. I would also say that Guy Gardner's a hothead, and Tully Blanchard certainly had his hothead moments in WCW and before, with Magnum TA. He was a great heel, a great cocky bastard. So I could see even some of their facial expressions would be the same. So Guy Gardner is my Tully Blanchard, even though Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart tag team might not be the best of all time, unfortunately.
Well, that fits better than something like Mongo. So let's run with that.
Mongo doesn't socialize.
Mongo does indeed not socialize, or at least he shouldn't.
That would be a good. There's his corresponding Green Lantern, and we can have Chip. Gnort. Gnort can be. I'm trying to think of Alex Wright, or Disco Inferno, or somebody who was never a horseman.
There you go. And Kilowog is definitely Dusty.
Yeah. I'll let somebody who does a better Dusty impression talk about poozers and that kind of thing.
Well, if we get Greg back on, we got to get him to do that, as Kilowog is Dusty Rhodes. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our look at the origins of the Four Corpsmen. That was a fun time to go over the classic Green Lanterns. Hope that you guys are intrigued to go and check out each one of them. They each have really good stuff right now on the DC Universe app. You can read all of their origin stories, the comics we just listed off. They're all there. Long runs with each of these characters. And if you're so inclined, you can go check out the Guy Gardner Warrior stuff, though we're not promising you anything there, that your mileage may vary.
Yeah. I think you're okay skipping that. But there's some hidden gems in there. Go through and check out the Judd Winnick, Kyle Rayner stuff, because it's not bad at all.
It is actually it is very good. There's an Ion series in there that takes place shortly before the Sinestro Corps War. It actually leads into some of that. That was a really good 12-issue series, all focused on Kyle. And if you want to get some other good Kyle stuff, Tom King did a series called Omega Men that featured Kyle in a very prominent leadership role, and all of that was very well done. So there's good Kyle Rayner stuff out there. With that, thank you for joining us on another episode of DC4U. Next time, we're going to take a look at the short-lived Green Lantern, the animated series. We're going to take a look at the pilot episode for that show, which can be found on DC Universe. So go watch that and then listen to us talk about it and kind of reflect on what might have been. But with that, thank you for joining us. We will see you next time.
DC4U.
DC4U.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content. Offered tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports. Brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all these great shows, plus archives of our past podcasts from over the past 8 years as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth search projects, and much more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping. And we want to thank our friends at Boneheads, Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop